What's going on, kids? Pastor Jacob here with another LifeGroup video. I hope you're all having a wonderful week. This week, we're exploring a new book of the Bible. We're going to be in the book of Judges. Judges is in the Old Testament, and it comes after the book of Joshua and before the book of Ruth. A lot happens in the book of Judges, so I hope you're ready to dive in. We're going to be in Judges 4 and 5 today. So take a minute and find Judges chapter 4 and 5. Judges is a pretty crazy book. It is basically the same story happening over and over again. The people of Israel will start to disobey God, and they won't pay him any attention. God then will let another nation take control of Israel, and Israel needs someone to help them, so God sends what is called a judge to help Israel and turn them back to God. Israel does good, and then they listen and obey God, and everything is great. But then time passes, and eventually Israel turns away from God again, and the whole thing just starts over and over and over again. It can be pretty exhausting reading this book and just seeing Israel make that same mistake time and time again. Where we are in our exploration of this book is Israel has been through this a few times already. They mess up, someone comes, helps them, they get back on track with God, and then they mess up again. Well, now we're back in trouble. A king has came, his name is Jabin, and he has taken control of Israel. Jabin has a commander named Sisera, who helps Jabin treat the people of Israel not very kindly. They have ruled over Israel for 20 years now, and now Israel is calling out to God, "Help us, please." Now, there was a woman named Deborah in Israel at this time, and she was the judge that God was going to use. Deborah called for a man named Barak to come to her one day. When he got there, she asked him, "Hasn't God told you to take your soldiers to Mount Tabor and defeat Sisera?" Barak told her that he would only go and fight Sisera if Deborah went with him. Otherwise, if she doesn't go, he's not going. Barak was scared. Their enemies had a big army, lots of chariots. This would be scary for anyone. But the thing is, if God was telling him to go, that meant God was going to be on his side. Barak didn't trust God to actually help them win. Deborah, though, trusted God. She told Barak that she would go with him, but Barak isn't going to receive any of the honor from this battle. A woman would be the one to defeat Sisera. Barak agrees, and he gathers up 10,000 soldiers, and then him and Deborah set off for Mount Tabor. Sisera hears about this, and then he also begins to gather all of his men and head towards the mountain. When both armies get there, Deborah tells Barak to get his man and to go fight Sisera. But just as the battle's about to start, God does something. He caused Sisera and his army of chariots to become confused. Then Sisera gets scared and he runs away from the battle. Sisera ended up at a tent of a woman named Jael. Jael offered Sisera a drink, and she hid him under a rug. Sisera eventually falls asleep, and then Jael kills him. Barak has been chasing Sisera. He arrives at the tent and finds Jael and Sisera there. God has saved the people of Israel from the army of Jabin and Sisera. The people of Israel would go on to defeat Jabin, and they would get their freedom back. Deborah and Barak would sing a song of praise to God for rescuing them from the evil Jabin. Israel would be at peace for 40 years. This is a pretty crazy story, and there's a lot that's going on in all of this. But one of the big things that we learn is that good leaders obey God. Barak was not willing to trust God. He needed Deborah to come so that he could have faith. Deborah, on the other hand, totally trusted God to save the people of Israel. When we're leading others, or even when it's just us, we should trust God like Deborah did. If God says he is going to do something, God always keeps his promise. I've really enjoyed exploring this book with you all and can't wait to see what we learn next as we explore the Bible together. For now, we're going to jump into our new memory verse for the month of April. What's going on, kids? So it is a memory verse time, and I was editing our video and I realized I accidentally said the wrong memory verse. So our memory verse is Psalms 23, verse 1. The book of Psalm is in the middle of your Bible, and you're going to be looking for chapter number 23, verse 1. Take a minute and find Psalm 23, verse 1. Let's learn our new verse together. This will be a pretty easy verse for you all to memorize. The Lord is my shepherd, I have what I need. Psalm 119:34. Great job. You see, this is a pretty easy verse. What we learn from this verse, though, is how God guides and takes care of us. Just like a shepherd watches for and takes care of the sheep in his flock, God watches over and takes care of us as well. We're going to learn some emotions that go along with this verse next week. But for now, let's jump into craft time. It's craft time. Today, we're going to be making a craft for our memory verse. We're going to be making sheep and a shepherd's staff. So you need to grab some brown construction paper and then some white or light gray construction paper as well. Some scissors and then markers and a pen. Take a minute and gather your supplies. The first thing you want to do is you want to take your brown piece of paper and cut out your own shepherd's staff, just like I have here. And you're going to write your verse on there, the Psalms 119:34. Then you're going to take your white or gray construction paper and draw a whole bunch of little sheep, just like this one. And then each one of the sheep, you want to put a different word of the memory verse on it. So for this one, I'll write the word Lord. For the Lord is my shepherd. Then once you have them all written out, you're going to mix them up, and then you'll take your shepherd's staff to guide the sheep into the right order. To read, the Lord is my shepherd, I have what I need. You guys are going to be guiding your sheep just like the Lord guides us and takes care of us. So think about your verse. As you're doing this activity, think about how God takes care of us, how he guides us, how he watches over us, just like a shepherd does. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I can't wait to see you all next week. Bye.